Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for June 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what is on my blog, what that's new, and also if you're interested in learning astrology for your own purposes or to do it professionally, my astrology apprenticeship program will be opening soon, and also my coach certification and online business course if you are interested in being a coach for your work and being free of your geography. So check it out at anniehelpsyou.com. So what's going on in the month of June? I love this month. This is one of 2 months, only 2 months in the whole year, June and October, that are completely free from personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. May introduced this movement and clearing out of the retrograde energies, but still kind of had a hangover from those. And now June is just full speed ahead. It's a very exciting time. We have amazing transits, which I will go into one by one very extensively. But first, I want to talk about some things specific for Aquarius energy. And they're going to center around Jupiter, because one of the events that we have happening this month is that Jupiter goes direct. Jupiter's been retrograde for 4 months since the beginning of February. And Jupiter is the great benefic. It's the planet that brings luck and expansion and optimism and enthusiasm. And when it's retrograde, the mood can be a little lower, a little bit more depressed, a little less enthusiastic, a little bit less, outward and expansive. So when Jupiter wakes up, it moves from working on the inner weak links that are interfering with your the next stage of expansion that it's working on. It starts to move into this conscious outward expression. So we're going to talk about where it is for Aquarius placements. So I'm calling the theme of this month for Aquarius clearing debt. And that is because for all placements, early, middle, and late, you are going to have either a short amount of time or still a long amount of time with Jupiter accentuating your 8th house. You early degree placements, so the ones that, like in the first few degrees of, if you're watching for your rising sign, or for the first days of the birth, the sun being in Aquarius, you're going to very soon have the energy move Jupiter into 9th house energy, and then all of you will be following suit. But as we start out here, it's still very much giving you 8th house opportunities. So we'll talk about that. And this 8th house is the house of debt. And it's not just financial debt, it's also emotional debt. It's also mental debt. It's also spiritual debt. Wherever you can be not current with your energy field on any level, it's in this house. So clearing debt and accessing money for other people's resources for your own is part of the blessing of Jupiter in the 8th house. So the 8th house is called other people's money, and when Jupiter is in this placement, you are more likely to win money, to find money. Sweepstakes, lotto, earnings, just like finding money, inheriting money, and resources, getting married and joining your resources with someone else's, where your stuff and their stuff join together to make this bigger picture. That's what it's all about. It's also about emotional intimacy and connections. So, and the esoteric realms, so studying about esoteric matters. This is one of the houses of astrology. It's the house of psychology. So studying in these deep, unseen realms that are kind of hard to quantify, kind of like when you really think of the money system, it's not very tangible, especially not anymore since everything is happening electronically. And that's what the 8th house is like. It's like this kind of intangible area where everything's kind of murky. So it has to do with research. It has to do with mysteries. It has to do with esoteric studies. And Jupiter is wanting to expand all of that. So if you have a mystery to solve, Scooby-Doo will be super happy at this time because it's like crazy expansive. If you need financing for a car or a house or to consolidate debt, or venture capital to, blast your business forward. This is one of the best periods of time, and specifically this month is full of opportunities and definitely has things that want you to activate it. So you have to get busy this month and take some action, because it's one of the best months in the whole year to do that. So some other things that Jupiter rules, or that Pluto rules, which is the 8th house ruler, are birth, death, transformation, and rebirth. So the phoenix rising from the ashes, you know, so this sort of just letting go of this whole whatever you had going on that wasn't working for you, and bursting into this new experience is very Plutonian. And sometimes the energy of death is brought very close to you from whatever ways it can come. You know, you see something on TV that touches you, somebody close to you passes away or is sick. There's the energy of understanding death and how it's all part of the same thing, that people who pass away are just as energetically present as when they're here, you know. So there's kind of this esoteric study is basically this 8th house thing. So where Jupiter is moving and where you early degree placements will feel this first, and then the rest of you will follow suit, is the 9th house. And Jupiter is most happy in the 9th house because Jupiter rules the 9th house, and the 9th house is the house of Sagittarius. So this has to do with teaching, learning, publishing, speaking, writing, spiritual studies, so anything involving religion or churches or non-denominational things, you know, religion that is universal, unity churches, things like that. And long distance travel, foreign cultures, different countries, different cultures, different languages, all of that is 9th house energy. So if you have been wanting more of that, you will find yourself getting more of that. You know, many people will find that when Jupiter goes into their 9th house, they are hot on studying like crazy, learning like crazy. They're just sponges, like mad. And some people will be also wanting to teach that. So you'll either be just a sponge taking it in, or you'll be finding a balance with teaching and learning, or you'll just be stepping into the teaching role where all these things that you've taken in over time are now going out to a larger audience. Many people will actually travel extensively. But it is also a placement of the armchair warrior. So, you know, adventures on many levels, internal and external, are definitely part of the promise of Jupiter in the 9th house. Something else that's great about Jupiter in the 9th house is wherever Jupiter is, it brings this optimism, this enthusiasm, this renewed level of thinking that things can actually happen. But when it's in the 9th house, it has even more of that, you know? So if you have been feeling negative or feeling down, when Jupiter gets into this 9th house, it generally comes along with believing like you can find creative solutions and then actually attracting those creative solutions to find them. You can see more details about Jupiter in the signs and the houses on my blog, Jupiter Through the Signs and Houses, on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. So if you go to anniehelpsyou.com and click on blog and click on astrology, you can search for Jupiter in the little search box. And sorry about that, it's my doggy. Anyway, you can search for Jupiter in the search box, and I have an extensive, very detailed blog where you can study Jupiter in the 8th house and Jupiter in the 9th house, so that you know where you're at and you know where you're going, and you can most utilize the energies. So now I want to talk about date by date, aspect by aspect, the things that are coming and why I love June so much, and all of the wonderful energy to lock in long-term things in your life, the couple of things to watch out for, and the general mood of the month and how it changes at the end of the month and how to best use all this energy. So I'm going to talk more about that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for the general transits for June for all signs full speed ahead. This is definitely one of my favorite months of the whole year. It is one of the months that carries with it the most momentum and forward moving energy that is more supported by positive aspects. This is one of 2 months in the whole year of 2017, June and October, that is completely free from personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. May introduced us into this period of movement because we had been in just kind of retrograde inner movement mode from the end of 2016 through well into May. So you started to see things moving and progressing and bursting out into the world in May, and now June carries that forward in a big way. And although July We'll also have until around the 24th or so some clear energy and great transits for moving forward. Towards the end of June, we start to get a little dicey where those challenging aspects are a little bit more closely matched up with the positive aspects that make it kind of like touch and go. But for the first over 3 weeks, really until like the 24th of June, we just have amazing aspects and complete clear energy to sail. So I'm going to go into some of the aspects and the dates that I really like, and the ones that I see some potential challenges, just all the things to take note of. And know that you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter. And in that newsletter, I do a write-up, so a written summary of the aspects and dates ahead, and I send that out a month early. So if you're a visual person and you want to keep better track of some of the things that I report in this part of the video, then you can sign up for the free email newsletter, and you can get it that way too. So the first of the month is one of my favorite days for locking in something long-term. If you have been watching my videos for a while, or at least since the end of 2016, then you know I have been kind of coaching you along. Okay, we don't have a lot of great movement for pushing things forward. We had a little bit at the beginning of the year, but now is the time when, if you have a launch, if you have a big commitment, if you have a big decision, that we've got some really great energy. And June 1st is the first aspect that I love. So Venus in Aries is making a beautiful trine to Saturn in Sagittarius. So anything that you have to do for long term involving love, beauty, and money. I had a lot of people write to me from my Venus retrograde video that they were wanting to do some physical improvements and enhancements, and the Venus retrograde time was not the time to do that. But if you're looking for times to do that, this is a much better time. Love commitments, big love decisions, money commitments, starting businesses, launching different aspects of your already established business. I love this date for this. And May 31st is also amazing if you're watching this beforehand. So the 31st through the 1st, you've got a power lineup that's pretty free and clear from negative or challenging aspects. On June 3rd, we have Venus in Aries again conjunct Uranus. Now, whenever we have planets get together in a conjunction, that means they're right on top of each other. They're at the same degree in the same sign. There's always a potential for something challenging to happen that is not positive. But there's so much good energy sandwiched around it, it makes the odds greater that it will be a positive outcome. And if it isn't, there's support that can buoy you in whatever the negative or challenging thing may be. So Venus rules money and love and beauty, and Uranus rules surprises and insights. So most people will experience happy surprises and just great, brilliant ideas from this. But there could be a jostling piece of money news or love news that comes in that isn't positive as well, because we just never know how these things are going to manifest. On June 3rd as well, the Sun in Gemini makes a beautiful trine to Jupiter in Libra. Trines are the best aspects, the most positive, easy. I don't want to say the best aspects because it depends on what you're judging by the best. I think that challenging angles are the best too because they provide impetus and energy to push through challenges, but we'll call it more favorable and easy and flowing and coherent. So the Sun in Gemini is making this coherent aspect with Jupiter in Libra, and that is bringing great support for your individual expression from your relationship space, and also having your individual expression boost your relationships, and helping people that you're in relationship with. So the energy could flow both ways, where you're helping someone you're in relationship with, or they're helping you. On June 4th, Venus in Aries is also making a trine, a beautiful aspect to the transiting North Node in Leo. So we talked a little bit about the transiting North Node in recent months. And this is a place where there is a key or keys held to your highest expression. So when you have Venus ruling this love and beauty and money and art and just aesthetics and, beautiful energy, in this beautiful aspect with your highest expression, many a person is going to stumble upon a key or a piece that will, or a step that will facilitate their higher expression. On June 4th, there's also a challenging aspect with the Sun in Gemini and making a square to Neptune in Pisces. How I'm reading this is, you know, Pisces can always bring confusion or doubt or self or doubt in general. And the fact that the sun is an aspect to it, it can bring this self-doubt. So I always see for myself and for people that I'm working with, that whenever we have this boost of positive energy where we're pushing forward and we're feeling really positive about what we're doing, the shadow side comes in and the fears come up. Like, okay, you're putting yourself out in the world in this bigger way, and then some fears come in. And this is kind of like that. We have a couple of points this month where there's like this big push of energy forward, and then there's the second guessing energy. So this energy has the second guessing energy where you're questioning what you're doing and what you're putting out there. And, you know, but I say just push right through it. You know, if there's something usable in there with a reflection that comes back to you, then use it. And if not, then just ignore it and move on. On June 9th, we have the full moon in Sagittarius. It's also aspecting Saturn. And so when Saturn is nearby, it can bring a reality check, you know, like a sobering look at something. And the full moon tends to bring emotional things. So there could be a sobering realization about something. But it's equally as likely that Saturn can work as a stable, wise helper in the fulfillment or the fruition or the coming to completion or manifestation of this energy of Sagittarius. So whenever we have a full moon, we look to the sign that it's in to see the energy of the fullness. So Sagittarius represents writing, teaching, learning, publishing, spiritual studies of any kind, religious or, you know, things that tie in all religions or no religions. Anything that works with a creative solution, kind of looking from the standpoint of being on a mountain down at the bigger picture. So many people will have a trip that they're going to take that comes to fulfillment. Many people will publish a book, will publish blogs, will start a blog, will have some speaking engagement of note, you know, something coming to fruition in Sagittarius. And it could be that this is solidifying a long-term trend for the future. And that's a way that Saturn can be helpful here. Saturn's been moving through Sagittarius and sort of taking these energies of the big dreams that are up here and forcing you to do the work to bring them down into fruition. And so I see this as hard work manifested in a wonderful result with Sagittarius based things. So also on the 9th, there is an aspect with Venus in Taurus and Mars in Cancer. And this is wonderful for heart to hearts. You know, the energy of Mars in Cancer is a little bit awkward because Mars generally rules, you know, Aries and is a co-ruler of Scorpio, and there's sort of this intensity, and it's, you know, and Aries energy is, you know, very physical, it's not very emotional. So in this energy of Cancer, you know, it's a little bit awkward, but in this beautiful angle with Venus, it's like a really beautiful coming together with Venus and Mars, which of course is the female and male aspects of ourselves, the active and passive aspects. So I love that date. Another beautiful day this month is June 13th, and that's when Mercury in Gemini will make a trine with Jupiter in Libra. This is a writer's delight or an expressor's delight, a communicator's delight. Editing is very strongly featured when we're talking about Gemini energy or Mercury energy too. So again, I love this for book launches, for blog launches, for something big where you're teaching or learning or helping people. The energy, since it's excessive, Jupiter can always be a little excessive, you know, so even at a nice angle, you could be driven to exhaustion, but this is fine because we've been waiting to push out these things into the world for so long that if you're a little bit tired from the process of doing it, I think that's fine, you know? And I also see this follow-up energy on June 15th with the Sun in Gemini opposing Saturn as kind of another little like fear bobble that I talked about before. You know, there's all this energy just pushing open and out, and it's so supportive and so wonderful. And we've got just these little kind of touching in points where we're like questioning, we're doubting, there's a little bit of a halt in activity. We kind of have to, you know, pull back the reins a little bit. So that's going on June 15th. And always remember that when I give you these dates, you can feel these aspects before or after the actual dates. So don't hang your hat too heavily on the actual date, because if you're paying attention, you'll feel the energy sometimes sooner or sometimes after the fact. So on June 16th, Neptune in Pisces goes retrograde. I see Neptune in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces going retrograde as this amazing time to be okay with being reclusive. I think people need way more alone time than they get. And for the people who are having too much alone time, perhaps it's not being productive. And Neptune in Pisces in retrograde can really facilitate that, you know? So just asking for more alone time, even if it's just 10 minutes in the day to be in your own energy field. People definitely strongly underestimate the importance of having just your own energy field around you sometimes. And this Neptune in Pisces transit is really amazing for getting back in touch with what it feels like in your energy field. You know, draining it out, clearing it out, and seeing what it feels like in there, and getting more familiar with what your energy is when it's not mixed with all the other people that you are, you know, brushing up against, your field's brushing up against throughout the day. Yes, let's see. Okay, so June 18th, we have another beautiful aspect with the Sun in Gemini, making a sextile, which is a favorable angle, to Uranus in Aries. Whenever we have this 60-degree angle, it wants some action. You know, trines are energies that tend to just bring things, whether you do anything with them or not. And these sextile energies are things that they really want you to take action on. So like an opportunity is presented, but you have to do something with it. Or you have two potentials sitting together and then you have to activate them. I always think about these angles as having ingredients on your counter in your kitchen, you know, for whatever it is that you want to make, cookies or whatever. And so it's like you have everything there you need to make the cookies, but you have to actually mix them together and bake them and to make them. So as you have opportunities that come to you, we are just leaving a time where it was sort of time to mull over those opportunities, or to take small steps or intuitively based steps and not just go blasting forward for the sake of it. But this type of energy, and we've got another one coming up, which I'm about to mention, is sort of this time to like take action and activate. On June 18th as well, we have Mercury in Gemini opposing Saturn in Sagittarius. So this is another little bit of a, it could be a fear bobble, or it could be just like a break point, you know? When Saturn opposes Mercury, there's some sort of a person being stern, an authority figure putting the clamps on your expression, you know, when we're not regulating ourselves, something steps in from outside in this, you know, we're in this reflective experience in the universe, this holographic experience. So if we can't control or manage or regulate ourselves, often something comes from outside to do that. So as we live in sync with the aspects in astrology that are occurring and with other synchronicities in our lives, it makes it more clear when something is kind of nudging us to back off a little bit, you know? So this is a full speed ahead month. We've got a couple of touching points where it's like you have to manage your horsey so that it doesn't get out of control and you don't go too fast and fall over. So I see this as another point here around the 18th. And also, you know, just to kind of check in with you and your purpose and your intuition, because sometimes someone says something from outside of us that can serve to damper our energy about something we're doing, but if it's not true for us, then you can just keep moving on. And if you are sensitive to it, then that shows you that you have a little bit more inner work to do, because it's still bothering you what other people think in a way that might be interfering with what you're supposed to be doing. So on June 20th, Mercury in Gemini makes a sextile to Uranus in Aries. We talked about the Sun making the same aspect a couple of days before, and now we have Mercury doing the same thing. So your expression is given a major boost, a major insight, you know, some brilliant energy comes in to support you. This is a really amazing energy, but again, you might have to do something with it. There's like a potential sitting there and you have to activate it. On the 21st, and now we're starting to kind of move into this, this energy of emotion. A sub-theme for this month I was calling motion and emotion, because the Gemini energy is all about movement, you know, and then as we get towards the end of the month, the Cancer energies become very prominent, and that's about emotion. So it's, you know, the movement and motion, and then now we're moving into a more introspective energy. So here on June 21st, we have the Sun in Cancer making a conjunction to Mercury, and the emotions are going to run high, for better or worse. You know, it's a wonderful time for feeling, for journaling, for connecting, for being cozy in your home, for, you know, nestling into companionship with someone that's close to you. On the 23rd, we have the new moon at almost 3 degrees of Cancer. So there's this energy opening up around home and family. We do have a couple of challenging aspects with that new moon, with Saturn and Chiron, that could bring up old wounds. But we also have a really nice energy with Uranus, which could bring sudden insights that help you to view those wounds in a different way. It's really amazing how perspective can change everything, and that you can look back at an event or at a present event with certain eyes, and then if something happens and you shift how you're looking at it, that it can look radically different. So this is a theme that's beginning at the end of June and moving into July, where we're kind of feeling into how we're looking at our lives through the emotional lenses. So on June 24th, we have a beautiful aspect with Venus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn. I see this as the power of unseen forces, or people in powerful positions, companies in powerful positions, anything that's like a lesser seen or harder to pin down, energy supporting your money, your love, your artistic expression. And this is really the last aspect of the month that I really love for trying to do much with, because even though we have a couple of aspects between June 25th and the 29th that have some sweetness to them, they're really just alternating these Mercury and Mars in Cancer with these aspects with outer planets and also with each other that are just bringing a lot of up and down emotions. You know, the earlier part of the month is not very emotional. It's more action, and it's thinking and planning and action oriented. And as we get towards the end of the month, there's just a lot of feeling going on. And that, like I said, that trend is going to continue into July. So my recommendation for the end of the month is, you know, to ground your emotions as much as possible. I always love bare feet and hands in the earth with that third eye up against a tree. You know, anything that drains your energy field, Epsom salt baths, EFT tapping. There are a million ways you can clear your energy field, but you're going to need to do more of it, especially towards the end of the month. So when the energy is flowing well, just keep rolling on. And then when you have some things that come up that cause you to really need to feel, or you're confused, then just hold up. So that's going to be a theme for the whole month. So definitely sign up for my free email newsletter to get a written version of these things and more. I'm going to be launching my Astrology Apprenticeship Program and my Coach Certification course in very soon, at some point either at the end of June or into July. And if you're watching this before that time, you can still go to my website and send me an email through my pages for these programs to get first dibs on these courses when they open up, because they do fill quickly. And if I know beforehand that you're interested in them, then you'll get a pre-public chance at open slots before I open it up to the public. So if you want to be a coach as your job, as your profession, and learn how to bring that business online and have an internet presence, or if you want to learn astrology, or if you want to include astrology in your offering for your coaching, then I am your friend in this. This is my department. So check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Also see what's new on my blog. I hope you have a wonderful month and that you get lots of active productivity and just blasting forward into the direction of your dreams happening for you. And I'll see you next month. Bye.